welcome back to The Lost Digit. Today I'm going to show you what the first 2 months of ownership and complete kind of restoration of my E36 M3 from 1999 has been like. So the vehicle cost was $17,500. The paint correction, ceramic coating, and interior restoration was $650. The registration plus transfer was only around $100 with third-party fees. Then the total sum of all of the parts I've ordered is around $7,200. And for the engine fixes I had to do, which I did at BMW, the labor was about $1,347. The only other thing other than that was the ceramic tint and removal of the old metallic film tint, and that was $250. So the sum of everything I've done outside of the actual car purchase itself has been almost $9,500, and we're looking at basically $27,000. And now I'm at a point where I have an amazing car and I'm just ready to push it to its limits and have a lot of fun with it. So if we go ahead and get started, I'll go through kind of quickly what happened in the first month, and then I'll show you footage and everything from the second month. So I do have a video about briefly what the first month was like, but I'll just go through it quickly. So it was just visual things like the BMW roundel, kidney grills, badges, antenna, air filter, things like that. And then on a serious note was the car smelled like it was burning oil just really badly, and the garage smelled so bad. So took it to BMW and I had the cylinder head cover gasket and the entire valve cover replaced. I had the oil pipe to the vanos replaced, as well as all of the gaskets and rings basically going for the entire oil filter housing. And then also the two belts from the engine to the power steering and other things, as well as to the compressor. So basically all the important gaskets, belts, and the valve cover were replaced at BMW, and from that point on it has not given me any engine issues or smells or anything, so definitely recommended. Now if we continue, the big one you'll notice also is the headlights. So I put glass headlights and they look amazing with the angel eyes. They weren't too expensive at $275. Changed a burnt tail light and then fixed the OBC display. All of these things I talked about in the other video. Now for this one, this is where it gets kind of interesting. So I started getting parts in, and the first thing you'll notice is that I changed the speakers to some Alpines. I put these S-Series Alpine in the front and rear, different sizes, and I also paired them with a Pioneer amp so that I could just play music over USB or Bluetooth, and it sounded great. The next thing I did was change the hood insulation because it had holes in it, really dirty, so now that's all new. And then I ordered a Mishimoto Performance aluminum radiator as well as expansion tank. And so the first thing I had to do was remove and drain all of the old coolant, which was disgusting and full of basically rust or other things, I don't know. The hoses were just really old, so I changed the main hoses, the radiator, as well as the expansion tank, and you can see here it was just seeping and leaking. I'm surprised it was even working, because to get even some of the liquid out, I had to really just force it to a certain extent. So the new one looked great, and putting it in I was a little worried, but it wasn't too bad overall considering it was my first. It looks great, but the most difficult thing I would say was purging the air. So learning how to purge and how to do it correctly, and then add more fluid correctly and all that without hurting myself or having it boil over was an interesting experience, but I think I know what to do now. You just got to grab the bottom hose and squeeze all the air out as you fill it. So the next thing was the brake rotors, brake pads. So I put these sport brakes. These definitely made a huge difference. I'm able to stop the car really fast. The hardest thing really was getting the old rotors off, as they were kind of seized to the wheel hub. Once I got those off, I mean, the rest is fairly straightforward and easy. Not too bad, and I think anyone could really do it with some minor tool experience. So This is my first time doing any of this, by the way. Once I got it in, I put the spacers, so I put 12.5 millimeter on the front and 15 on the back. So it gave a nice width to the car, which really helped. The other thing I did then after that was remove the stock exhaust. It was extremely heavy and pretty quiet when you really stepped on it, so I just wanted to increase that volume while maintaining kind of an OEM classy factory sound. So this is what it looked like before installation. Very clean, very nice. So this is the Active AutoWorks Signature Gen 3 exhaust. Highly recommend it, and it sounds great. I did another video just about this, so if you're curious, you can check that out. The fitment was pretty good. It was just a little hard to reach the mounts and get those screwed in after I had set them up with the exhaust. So now that it's in, hopefully I never have to touch it again and I can just forget about it. After the exhaust, I tried to read some codes, figure out what's going on with my ABS and my safety restraint system. So turns out while getting tinted, some water got into the passenger restraint system, and so that's shorted, I guess. I have to figure that out. So I went ahead and continued in the meantime with the parts I did have, and what I was going to do is change the spring pads as well as the shock mounts and put rear and front shock reinforcements. So you can see I got these Bilstein B8 Performance Plus shocks and struts, and they look great, and I put them in. I put these reinforcement plates as well. So I did the rear first and then did the front. I also changed the all of the mounts to either new OEM in the front or performance ones that I put in the rear. And you can see that the new suspension is just significantly better, mainly because they work, and the old ones, as soon as I pulled them out of the car, just fell in with gravity. So very dangerous, and I don't even know how the car was driving just on springs. So I'm surprised it was working as well as it was, and now that it's changed, it drives phenomenally. The other thing is I finally got the strut brace on, and that kind of sums up the majority of the $7,000 worth of parts that I've put into the car so far. So long story short, it's driving very well. I'm driving it very hard, and now that it's kind of broken in with all the changes, I'm able to really take it long distances and push it even harder than I ever did before. The cooling system, the new Radiator, is phenomenal. I highly recommend it. And if you have an E36 or an E36 M3, I mean, everything I've done in that list is highly recommended, so there's nothing really I regret buying. The brakes did squeak a bit in the beginning for about a week, but now, I think now that the rotors are kind of worn in, there's no more of that. So going back to the total, we're at basically $27,000 all in. Some may say that's a good amount or too much, but looking at the price of E36s, especially clean ones like this one, I think it's well worth it. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for everything else I do in the E36. I plan to manually tune it, so that's going to be a lot of fun. See you in the next one. Be sure to like and subscribe.